Good afternoon. I believe it's 12 o'clock, and I'm hoping that we're live now. And welcome to Word for Today. For those of you with me yesterday, you'll be aware that we looked at the cross, and I was thinking through those three compelling factors, if you like, that were at the heart of the cross, at the heart of Jesus' actions, concepts of obedience, the concept of forgiveness, and the concept of hope. And we focused on forgiveness. And yesterday we looked at probably one of the most difficult subjects, which is recognizing that Jesus wants you to grasp the reality of his gift of forgiveness, for him to be able to take away that shame and guilt that we have in relation to things that we hold ourselves. And we recognize the struggle involved in that, but we also recognize that the freedom associated and the desire that Jesus has to give us that freedom by releasing that shame and guilt. Today, we're going to move that on, and we're going to look at the question of forgiving others. Now, this isn't an easy question either, or an easy issue either, but it's at the very heart of the cross. When you roll things back, we were made to be lovers, not in any inappropriate sense. We were made to be lovers of each other. We were made to be lovers of our environment. We were made to be lovers of God. That's our purpose. That's when God created us, that was his dream. That was his perfect creation. And we're not going to go through Adam and Eve and sin and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is we need to understand that that's who we are. We are made to be lovers. But one of those gifts that Jesus also gave us is the ability for free will. He doesn't want us to be slaves to him. He wants us to choose to follow him. But one of the consequences of free will is that we can hurt. We have the ability to hurt, and we have the ability to be hurt. Now, the reality is that every one of us, irrespective of how old or anything about us, would have hurt somebody and would have been hurt. It's just the truth. And with the reality of hurt, we ask ourselves the question, well, how do we deal with that hurt? How do we deal with the situation when somebody hurts us? Now, our natural inclination is to yearn justice. There's an equation here. Somebody hurts me, therefore they either apologize, in which case I can perhaps forgive them, or they pay a price, in which case I can let them off, or forgive them their debt, if you like. But there's an equation, a two-way equation. But there's a problem with that equation. And Jesus saw the problem with that equation, which is part of the truth of the cross. And the problem with the equation is that in that two-way relationship, you're bound together in that hurt. Whilst you hurt inside, and whilst you wait for that act which will allow you to let go of the immediacy of pain, you can't let go because you're bound together. Unless that person delivers what you think is justice, you're held captive by the hurt. Jesus wants us to be free. He wants us to live as people without shame and guilt, and live as people without hurt. Now, you may say to me, Terry, that's all just fanciful. That's easy talk, but difficult. And I don't disagree with you. It's much easier for me to be talking about this now than the reality of coping with that. But should that stop us from taking those steps? Jesus walked to the cross and took all of our sin with no expectation of payback, just a hope that we'd understand and see a better way. And there's our challenge, I guess. Our challenge is, well, how do we do that then? Now, in forgiving somebody, what I'm not suggesting is that forgiveness in some way rolls back time, that in some way it deals with justice. But what we've got to allow is the fact that there's a means of justice. We can trust God in that respect. Our eye for an eye that we hold dear, which is kind of endemic in our society, is something which we can let go of and say, okay, there will be judgment and you'll be judged. But I'm going to choose to be master of my destiny. Despite the fact you've hurt me, the reality is that I'm going to control this situation and I'm going to say, no more. I forgive you. Now that's something which I think you need to practice. It's something which you need to rehearse. It's something which you need to be convinced about. And it's not easy. You know, it's a language that doesn't come naturally. But it's a gift that God's given us through the death of Christ. So the challenge, I guess, today is, can we grasp the concept of being free people? Freed of shame and guilt in relation to our own wrongdoings. But then taking that one step further, one big step further, and saying, I forgive you. I'm going to finish with just a thought from Desmond Tutu. Him and his daughter wrote an amazing book, this book on forgiveness. And in it he says this: when we're thinking about it, when we're thinking about this process, I am hurt, I am betrayed, I am in pain and grief, I have been treated unfairly, I am feeling ashamed, I am angry that this has been done to me, I am sad, and I am lost. I may never forget what has been done to me, but I will forgive. I will do everything in my power not to let you harm me again, but I will not retaliate against you or against yourself or myself. It's not an easy word for today, but it is at the heart of the cross. And if you think, I can't do this, the reality is that Jesus gives you through his Spirit the ability to do this. Just ask for help. Ask somebody that you trust that has faith. Or just ask Jesus, Jesus, give me the words, give me the heart, and help me to let this go. Help my scars to heal, but for me to be a new person, freed from the desire for revenge or retribution or payment or even recognition. Those things are out of your control. But what's in your control is the ability to say no more. We'll be back tomorrow looking at one more stage in relation to forgiveness, one more aspect of forgiveness. Please join us later on. This evening we've got home group at 7 o'clock, and then we've got night prayer at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, have a fabulous afternoon. And if anything in here has caused you concern, or you just need to talk it through or in some way interact, then please get in touch with the church or your church. They'd love to help. It's Jesus' desire. God bless.